So, welcome to physics online session. In this lecture number 2 from nuclei chapter, we will discuss the properties of the nucleus, Einstein's mass energy equivalence, binding energy of the nucleus, variation of binding energy with mass number, and nuclear forces. So, these are the topics we are going to learn in this class. Okay. So, before going to learn these topics, so first we have to know what are the nucleons and their masses. So, we know that nucleus contains protons and neutrons. So, it contains protons and neutrons. So, these protons and neutrons combinedly known as nucleons. Nucleons nothing but a sum of protons and neutrons. P nothing but proton, N nothing but neutron, and this is the nucleus. Okay. Around the nucleus, electron revolves in circular orbits. That is a Rutherford nuclear atomic model. Okay. And your mass of proton is equals to 1.6726 into 10 power minus 27 kilograms. In atomic mass unit, its value is 1.00727 U nothing but atomic mass unit. So, we have discussed what is AMU in the previous class. AMU nothing but atomic mass unit, simply it can be written as U. Okay. And mass of neutron is equals to 1.6749 into 10 power minus 27 kg. Nearly they are having same mass, and in atomic mass unit, mass of neutron is 1.867 or 8665. Okay. Now, the mass of electron is about 9.1 into 10 power of minus 31 kilograms. In atomic mass unit, its value is 0.00055 U. It is also U. Okay, this is about what is mass and mass of the nucleus, not mass of nucleons. Okay. And in the previous class, we have also discussed representation of atomic nuclei. Atomic nuclei represented by with symbol XZA. A represents the proton number or atomic number. A represent mass number or nucleon number. Here neutron number is nothing but the difference in the mass number and proton number will gives the neutron number. This is neutron number. Okay. This is what we have discussed in the previous class. Now, in this class, we will talk about the first one, that is properties of the nucleus. Properties of the nucleus. Here I will write the first property. First property, nuclear size. Nuclear size or size of the nucleus represented with symbol R, nothing but radius of the nucleus. Size of the nucleus or radius of the nucleus. Okay. Size nothing but volume. Here from Rutherford experiment and other experiments like electron scattering and neutron scattering. So, it is observed that the volume of the nucleus, volume of their nucleus is directly proportional to mass number of the nucleus. What is the volume? V, mass number A. What it is assumed that nucleus is in the spherical shape. Nucleus is in the spherical shape. Spherical shape. Nucleus. Okay. Therefore, the volume of the nucleus is 4/3 pi r cube. Why? Because volume of sphere is 4/3 r cube, pi r cube, that is proportional to A. It can be written as r is proportional to A power 1/3. So we can write like this. Why? Because 4/3 pi is constant. You can also write like this. By removing proportionality sign, so they kept, Rutherford and other scientists kept one constant, that is r naught into A power 1/3. Okay. So and this is the expression which tells us the radius of the nucleus. You can find the radius of the nucleus by using this formula, where r naught value is the constant, where constant r naught value is calculated as from different experiment. It's around 1.2 into 10 power of 1.22 Fermi actually. 1.22 Fermi. 1 Fermi is equals to 10 power of minus 15 meters. Okay. So and this is an expression of nuclear size. First property, nuclear size, and the second one, okay, please remember r equals to r naught into A power 1/3, where r naught is constant, A is a mass number, and A equals to mass number. Okay, if you know the mass number of the nucleus, given nucleus, you can easily find out its radius. And the second property, second one is nuclear mass, or mass of the nucleus, nuclear mass. Okay, here I'll change the pen here. So mass, let us draw the figure. Nucleus, this is the nucleus. Okay, nucleus contains protons and neutrons. What is the mass of the nucleus? Mass of the nucleus is due to the number of protons and neutrons contained in it. Okay, if you add the masses of protons and neutrons, whatever the particles inside the nucleus, you will get the mass of the nucleus. We know that nucleus contains protons and neutrons, therefore the mass of the nucleus is the sum of the masses of protons and neutrons. Nuclear mass is equals to mass of protons plus mass of neutrons. Sum of the mass of protons and neutrons is known as nuclear mass. Okay, so right here I'll write, let Z be the number of protons in general. Z be the number of protons inside the nucleus, and each having mass mp. N be the number of protons. Let us assume there are n number of protons inside the nucleus. I'm not taking this nucleus. In general, let n be the number of neutrons, and mass of each neutron is n. Therefore the nuclear mass is like this. Okay, nuclear mass, let it be mn. Okay, this is the nuclear mass. This is called the expected mass. Okay, let it be equation number 2. Okay, you know what is Z? Number of protons. Z, number of protons. Okay, N, number of neutrons, and mp mass of neutron, mn mass of mp mass of proton, and mn small n represents the mass of neutron. Already I wrote in. Okay, so here no need to write it again, mass of proton and mass of neutron. Okay, and next the third one is, third property is the charge of the nucleus. Charge of the nucleus. Charge of the nucleus. Okay, so here a nucleus contains positively charged protons and neutral particles called neutrons. So nucleus has positive charge. Nucleus has positive charge because of protons containing it. Therefore, the charge of the nucleus, is due to the number of protons, contained in it. Okay, so therefore charge generally represented with the symbol q. Q is equals to, let Z be the number of protons and charge of proton is plus E. Therefore charge of the nucleus is plus ZE, where E is equals to 1.6 into 10 power of minus 19 coulomb. Okay, if you know the proton number, you can find its a charge. This is the third property. And the fourth and the final one is the density of the nucleus. Okay. So here mass density is the ratio of mass to volume. Okay, so density of the nucleus equals to ratio of mass of the nucleus to its volume, the volume of the nucleus. Okay, here I'll start from here. So rho is equals to mass of the nucleus from equation number 1, ZMP plus NMN. Okay, from equation number 1, this is a mass of the nucleus divided by volume. Volume of the nucleus is 4/3 pi r cube. Okay, the mass of the nucleus ZMP plus NMN, so whole divided by 4/3 pi r, nothing from equation number 1, it is r naught actually. This is from equation number 2. From equation number 1 we'll get radius. This is equation number 3. Now r equals to r naught into a power 1/3 and whole power 3. You can write it as ZMP plus NMN whole divided by 4/3 pi r naught cube into a. Okay, so that implies rho is equals to, if you take MP common from this expression, you will get Z plus N into 4/3 pi r naught cube into a. So why I am writing it here? Here I took one approximation. M3 approximately equals to Mn, so that only you can take Mn common here. Okay. Now the next step we can write, so rho is equals to MP into A divided by 4/3 pi r naught cube into a. Since A equals to Z plus N, Z plus N. So A and A got cancelled. Let it be equation number 4 actually, and you can cancel out this A, and you will get you will get rho as rho is equals no need to take this equation number 4, right. So MP by 4 by third pi r naught cube. So that implies MP nothing but rho is equals to mass of proton here 1.6726 into 10 power minus 27 kg, okay, divided by 4 by third into pi value is 3.14, r naught is 1.2 into 10 power minus 15 whole power 3, okay, and this is meter cube. So after substituting all the known values, you will get the density of the nucleus as 2.31 into 10 power 17 kilograms. Okay, this is the density of the nucleus. Okay, so huge density. Okay, so in 1 meter cube, area, we can accommodate 10 power 17 kg of mass, huge mass. We can accommodate huge mass. So this is the density of the nucleus. Okay, now we have discussed the properties of the nucleus. Okay, so let it be equation number 4. Okay, we have discussed radius. I will write here the expressions from the first property. We got radius r equals to r naught into a power 1 by 3. It can also be written as r1 by r2 is equals to a1 by a2 whole power 1 by 3. And from equation number 2, we can get the mass of the nucleus, expected mass of the nucleus as ZMP plus NMN. And third equation will gives us the charge of the nucleus is plus ZE, and the fourth equation gives us the density as MP by 4 by third pi r cube, and it is constant as 2.31 into 10 power of 17 kg per meter cube. This is what we have discussed up now, and the next topic is the Einstein's mass energy equivalence. Second topic, Einstein's mass energy equivalence. Einstein's mass energy equivalence. Okay, in the dual nature of radiation and matter chapter, I told that in the universe there are two things. One is matter and another is energy or radiation. Okay, but according to Einstein, there is only one thing in the universe, that is the energy. Okay, so he proposed that matter is also nothing but mass is also another form of energy. Okay, there is only one thing in the universe, that is the energy. Mass is also another form of energy. Why? Because mass can be converted into energy, energy can also be converted into mass. Okay, so and the total energy and mass of the universe is constant. Okay, so I will write that point. According to Einstein, mass is another form of energy. because mass can be converted into energy, and energy can also be converted into mass. Okay, and total mass plus energy of the universe is constant. Okay, so total mass does not remains constant. Total energy of the universe is not constant. Total energy is not conserved. Total mass is not conserved. So mass and energy are not individually conserved, but mass plus energy of the universe is conserved. Means total mass plus energy is always constant. Why? Because why individually not conserved? Because some of the mass converts into energy, and energy can also be converted into mass. Okay, total mass never be constant, total energy never be constant. Mass plus energy of the universe is constant. And according to Einstein, the relation between mass and energy, relation between mass and energy equals to mc square. Mass and energy equals to mc square. Right. Okay, and next topic is binding energy of the nucleus. Binding energy of the nucleus. Okay, right. So binding energy nothing but, so first I will define and next I will explain. First I will give two definitions regarding binding energy. The energy required to hold the nucleons together inside the nucleus is called binding energy. Energy required to hold the nucleons, nucleons nothing but sum of protons and neutrons, hold the nucleons together inside the nucleus is known as, I forgot energy. The energy required to hold the nucleons together inside the nucleus is known as binding energy, represented by EB. Okay, right. If already one nucleus is formed, let us suppose this is the nucleus. Okay, it contains protons and neutrons, nucleus already formed. So in order to break the nucleus into its constituent protons and neutrons, so you require the same amount of energy, that is called binding energy. So I'll give one more definition here. The energy required to break the nucleus into its constituent protons and neutrons is known as binding energy. Okay, the same definition. If for example I have 4 nucleons, 2 protons and 2 neutrons when form a nucleus, these are individual, this is the nucleus. So here energy released, that energy holds the nucleons together, while binding energy. If you supply the same amount of binding energy So you will get protons, 2 protons and 2 neutrons. Okay, so here what happens here, when individual protons and neutrons combine together to form a nucleus, what happens? A mass disappears actually. When protons and neutrons combined, protons and neutrons combined to form a nucleus, combine to form a nucleus, some of its mass disappears. Okay, so that mass, according to Einstein, we can explain it, that mass can be converted into energy, not can be, will be converted into, it will be converted into energy and holds the nucleons. Okay, so that energy is called the binding energy. Okay, and in order to write an expression for a binding energy, I am introducing one more definition, that is mass defect. Okay, mass defect represented with a delta m symbol. Okay, mass defect. So the difference, actually here we have a nucleus here. Okay, in that nucleus we have protons and neutrons. Okay, if you observe the mass of these protons and mass of the nucleons, mass of the protons and neutrons always more. Okay, here the observation point here, here, 1 minute, let me write. It is observed that mass of the nucleus is always less than the mass of nucleons. Nuclei nothing but sum of mass of protons and neutrons. Mass of the nucleus is, let it be actual mass, Ma, is always less than the expected mass, Zmp plus Nmn. Okay, when protons and neutrons combine together to form a nucleus, okay, so when they form nucleus, there will be some reduction in the mass, that whatever the mass that reduced will be converted into energy and holds the nucleons together inside the nucleus. Okay, thus that mass, whatever the mass reduced, that is called mass defect. Therefore mass defect is equals to expected mass minus actual mass. Expect ante inta undali, the mass should be in this order, but actual mass is like this. Okay, simply I will write m only, no confusion here, simply I will write m. Okay, this is the mass defect, expected mass minus actual mass will gives us the mass defect, represented by with this symbol delta m. Now the binding energy is equals to, now binding energy, okay, Eb is equals to delta m into c square. I am writing it with Einstein's mass energy equation. This much of energy is converted into energy, and you can write it as Eb is equals to Zmp plus nmn minus m into c square. Okay, so this binding energy is the representation of stability as a nucleus. So binding energy is an indication, simply we can say that it is an indication of stability. It represents the stability of the nucleus, okay. So here if the binding energy is large, the nucleus is more stable. If binding energy is small, the nucleus is less stable or unstable. Okay, so it is an indication of stability. Greater the binding energy, okay, greater will be the stability. If the binding energy is low, the nucleus is said to be unstable or less stable. Okay, and next I'll write an expression for binding energy per nucleon. What is a binding energy with one? So here EB represent binding energy of the nucleus. What is the binding energy associated with each nucleon? Binding energy per nucleon is BE by A is equals to 1 by A into ZMP plus NMN minus M. Okay, so that implies BE by A is equals to, right, no need to write it again. Okay, next we'll study how this binding energy varies with the mass number. It is not constant for all nuclei. So this binding energy per nucleon changes with the mass number. So you will study how this binding energy changes with the mass number. So you can see here, look at this picture. Here the graph is drawn between the mass number and binding energy per nucleon. So when you observe this graph, so this binding energy, so let us write some observations of this from this graph. Okay, the first observation is, okay, see here binding energy per nucleon is almost constant for the intermediate nuclei, almost here, look at the graph. So, and almost, so these nuclei whose mass numbers between these lines, okay, so almost constant. Okay, we can say that what is the first observation here. So look at this graph here, mass number here represent taken along x-axis and binding energy per nucleon is taken along y-axis. Binding energy is measured in mega electron volt. Electron volt is the unit of energy. Okay, here hydrogen. So as mass number increases, first initially, so here hydrogen has 3 isotopes, proton, deuterium, tritium. So here deuterium has lowest binding energy, and as mass number increases, the binding energy also increases, and almost constant for intermediate nuclei once again decreases. So except for helium, carbon and oxygen, the binding energy almost increases linearly, but except for helium, carbon and oxygen has more stability than their neighboring nuclei, because they have particular arrangement. If the nuclei contain magic number of protons and magic number of neutrons, they are said to be more stable. We will talk about this concept later. Okay, so generally what happens here, binding energy per nucleon increases linearly and almost constant for intermediate nuclei, and once again decreases. Initially it increases, and for intermediate nuclei it is constant, and for heavier nuclei it decreases. So what is the first observation here? So here binding energy per nucleon is almost constant almost not constant, almost constant for the atomic nuclei between 32 for the atomic nuclei whose mass number vary between 30 to 170. So here around 30 to 170 atomic nuclei, atomic nuclei whose mass number vary between 30 and 170, almost the binding energy per nucleon is constant. Okay, and the second observation is iron has a higher maximum binding energy. So binding energy per nucleon, A nothing but nucleon, is maximum. Binding energy per nucleon is maximum for iron, for Fe56 nuclei. Okay, so and its value is 8.75 mega electron volt. It is the most stable nuclide. Okay, most stable nuclide. Okay, most stable nuclide. And this is the second observation. And third observation, you can see that lighter, these are the lighter elements, atomic mass whose mass number less than 30, atomic, the lighter and heavier, these are the heavier nuclides, and lighter nuclides are less stable, or the lighter and heavier nuclides are unstable. They are unstable. Okay, because their binding energies are low. In the previous topic I told that binding energy is an indication of stability of the nucleus. Larger the binding energy, greater will be the stability. Here the lower lighter elements, lighter nuclei, binding energies of lighter nuclei are low, that is why they are less stable, and heavier also less stable. Okay, and the fourth observation, here heavier elements, any element tries to get stability. Here heavier elements are heavier nuclides disintegrate themselves to get stability. So this process is called nuclear fission. So heavier nuclei undergo nuclear fission. Okay, so this nuclear fission is very useful in nuclear power plants. Okay, so here lighter elements also they have a tendency to fuse. These have tendency, lighter elements have a tendency to fuse together to form heavier nucleus. So get stability. So this process is known as nuclear fusion. Lighter elements undergo nuclear fusion and heavier elements undergo nuclear fission. So when why they undergo nuclear fusion, why these doesn't undergo nuclear fusion? Why? Because already they are heavy. If they fuse, what happens? Their mass again increases. So when mass number increases, what happens? Binding energy decreases. So it doesn't prefer, nature doesn't prefer this process. So when they disintegrate themselves, their mass reduces. So here in the nuclear fission process, what happens? A heavier nuclei break into intermediate nuclei. The binding energy almost constant. Okay, so greater binding energies. Okay, so that in that way they get stability. What happens to with the lighter elements? Their binding energy also low, they have lesser stability. Why? What they will do? these lighter elements fuse, combine together to form a bigger or intermediate nuclei, so that binding energy increases, they get stability. So okay, so we will talk about a nuclear fission and fusion process in the last class. Okay, once again I am repeating how the binding energy per nucleon varies with the mass number. First observation is what? Binding energy is almost constant for the atomic nuclei with between 30 and 170, 30 and 170, and it is about 8.3 like that. And binding energy is maximum for iron, it is about 8.75 mega electron volts, and it is said to be the most stable nuclide. And third point, it is observed that the lighter and heavier nuclear are unstable. Why? Because their binding energies are low. So anyway they will try to get stability. Heavier nuclear, what the heavier nuclear do? The heavier nuclear split themselves or disintegrate themselves, so that their mass number decreases, and their mass number come in the range of 30 and 170, and it is almost moderately stable. So they are getting stability by disintegrating themselves, so that process is said to be nuclear fission. And lighter elements, what the lighter elements do? They fuse together, lighter elements fuse together to form a bigger nucleus. So bigger nucleus has more stability. The lighter elements fuse together to get a intermediate nuclei whose binding energy is large, so they get stability in fusing. That process is called nuclear fusion. This nuclear fusion process takes place in sun and stars. Okay, we will discuss in the last class this nuclear fusion and fusion process. Okay, right, this is about the variation of binding energy with the mass number. Okay, what is the last topic from this class? So we have to discuss one more topic, that is nuclear forces. What are nuclear forces? Okay, nuclear forces, the attractive forces, so which binds the nucleons together inside the nucleus are known as nuclear forces. Okay, so last topic, next topic is, sorry, this is the last topic of this class, nuclear forces. I will write here nuclear forces. Okay, so I will draw the figure here first. This is a nucleus. So let us consider nucleus contains 4 protons, 4 neutrons. What happens when the nucleus, the density of the nucleus is huge, they are densely populated, very close to each other. What happens when the nuclei are very close? They get so there exists a repulsive force between the protons. These protons are positively charged particles. When they are at a very close separation, there exists a large huge repulsive forces. Okay, so what happens? So these repulsive forces try to break up the nucleus. So instead of breaking up the nucleus, so nucleus is stable because some other forces are acting between those particles. Those are extremely strong. They are very strong compared to those repulsive forces. Repulsive forces are Coulombic repulsive forces. Here nuclear forces must be attractive. They are compensating the Coulombic repulsive forces. For example, let us suppose the attractive forces are gravitational force. Gravitational forces are attractive, but those gravitational forces are very weak compared to the repulsive forces. So they are not, the attractive forces are not gravitational forces. So they are called nuclear forces. These nuclear forces are stronger. Nuclear force, I will write here. Here nuclear force Fn is greater than the Coulombic force. Coulombic forces are greater than the gravitational force. Okay, that is why protons and neutrons are held together inside the nucleus instead of breaking due to the repulsive forces, because the strongest attractive forces are acting between them. They are called nuclear forces. Okay, so these nuclear forces are the attractive forces that holds the nucleons holds the nucleons together inside the nucleus, okay, is called nuclear force, nuclear force. Okay, so what are the properties of nuclear forces? We'll discuss properties of nuclear forces. What are the properties? First property, they must be strongest. Yes or no? They must be strongest, then only they held together inside the nucleus. Proton and neutrons can be held together inside the nucleus. The nuclear forces are strongest in nature, no other force is stronger than the nuclear force. And second property is the nuclear forces are short range and saturated forces. Okay, here nuclear this is a nucleus, and these are the surrounding nucleons. Let us suppose this proton and surrounding protons. Okay, so this is a nucleus. There are 4 more protons, neutrons, number of particles are there. So here this proton can attract only surrounding protons. This proton cannot experience attractive force on the proton which is very far away from it. Okay, so here these nuclear forces are short range. A nucleon can interact with the neighboring nucleon only, it cannot interact with all the nucleons. Why? Because it is a short range force and saturated, and if you go a distance, this proton, the interaction of this proton valid up to this distance, saturated up to this distance only. Okay, after this distance the proton cannot interact other protons. That is why nuclear forces are said to be saturated, short range and saturated forces. This is a third property. Okay, very interesting forces here. When protons are very far away each other, no nuclear force. Okay, when they are held at a very close distance, they have attractive force. When they are very close to each other, they have repulsive force. Very important property here. When they are very far away from each other, there is no attractive force at all, no nuclear force at all, because nuclear force are short range. For example, if it is 10 Fermi, there is no nuclear force. They are very close, 1 Fermi, 2 Fermi, 1.2 Fermi or 1 to 2 Fermi, there exists a law, great attractive forces, nuclear forces, and when they are very close to each other, once again repulsive forces come into play. So they have a repulsive core. So that is why nucleus, protons and neutrons are not merging each other. If there is no this repulsive core, protons and neutrons merge each other. This is not happening. So they have repulsive force. Very interesting forces. And third property is the nuclear force is same. Nuclear force is same among all nucleons. Okay, so proton, the nuclear force is same. Proton, neutron, same nuclear force. Neutron also, the magnitude of nuclear force is same. Okay, there is no difference. So from this we can say that the nuclear force is charge independent. It doesn't depend on charge. Independent. Okay, it depends only on the charge. The nuclear force depends on depends on spin. How it depends on spin we'll discuss later. Okay, so these are the properties of nuclear forces. What are the nuclear forces? The attractive forces that holds the binds the nucleons together inside the nucleus are called nuclear forces. Okay, and these are the strongest forces in nature. Okay, and these are short range and saturated forces, and nuclear forces are same among all nucleons. Nuclear force is or depends on spin but independent on charge. These are the properties of the nucleus. In the next class we will discuss radioactivity. Thank you.